Welcome everyone to today's webinar on the keys to a successful family fun event. We're excited to have three great panelists with us today. But before I hand things over to them, I'd just like to cover some housekeeping items here. As with all of our webinars, we want to encourage attendees to ask questions of our panelists and take advantage of the live aspect of the webinar format. So you can submit your questions via the control panel on your screen at any time. But to keep things moving along, we're going to try to hold off on answering those until the Q&A portion of the webinar after the presentations. If you have any technical issues or problems, you can feel free to type those into the question box as well, and we will do our best to help you out. I will let you know that the majority of technical problems are solved, though, by leaving and rejoining the webinar. That usually works out most of the kinks. I will also go ahead and just answer the most common first question and tell everyone that today's webinar is being recorded and an archive will be posted on the catchinfo.org website along with the PDF of the presentation slides. And just for your convenience, all registrants will receive a link to that resource in their email here. So next, I want to tell you just really briefly about who we are as an organization. Catch Global Foundation, our mission is to improve children's health worldwide by developing, disseminating, and sustaining the Catch platform in collaboration with researchers at UT Health and MD Anderson Cancer Center. The foundation links underserved schools and communities to the resources necessary to create and sustain healthy change for future generations. You can find out more about what we do at the Catch Global Foundation at catchinfo.org. I also want to mention briefly, many of you may have gotten an email today talking about the Catch Promise, but wanted to kind of bring this initiative to your attention. This is our effort to bring the whole school, whole community, whole child model to school districts where there's substantial public health need and lack of resources to implement. And today we sent out an email and put on our website a list of 90 priority districts across the country that we are really kind of calling out that we are ready to help. And I know for a fact that many of those people are registered for this webinar here today. So I invite you to go after this talk, of course, to see about the Catch Promise and whether or not your district's on the list. Again, we want to help bring this to all communities of need, but go check out catchinfo.org/promise to learn all about that. And next here, I do want to acknowledge our wonderful partners at the Michael and Susan Dell Center for Healthy Living over at the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston School of Public Health. They are our partners that make these webinars possible, and we're very delighted to have them as part of what we do. Their vision, as you can see here, is healthy children in a healthy world, and their mission is to advance health and healthy living for children and families through cutting-edge research, innovative community-based programs, and dissemination of evidence-based practices. I also want to call attention, they are doing a webinar next week that might be of interest to folks who are here today. It's going to be on e-cigarette prevention, the Catch My Breath for middle school and high schools, and I invite you to go check out that webinar, learn more about it. You can find the info on their website, msdcenter.org. You can see the URL up there in the corner of your screen. So we will get rolling here today. I'm going to introduce our presenters first. We have Joey Walker, Scott Power, and Hilary Kotrla. Joey is the Curriculum Director and Training Manager at Catch Global Foundation. She's helped initiate successful Catch projects in school districts and communities of every shape and size around the country. Joey has a background in academic research projects and has been instrumental in the development and testing of multiple Catch components. So welcome, Joey. Scott Power is the lead PE teacher at Schmalz Elementary and Katy ISD, where he is also the team leader of the specials department. He's been with Schmalz for 12 years. Scott is also a certified Catch trainer and received a Catch Champion Award in 2014. Scott's a dedicated and talented teacher who enjoys teaching his students to be active and healthy for a lifetime. Welcome today, Scott. And now Hilary Kotrla is the Teach Healthier After School Coordinator for It's Time Texas. She oversees the Teach Healthier After School, or THAS, program, maintains relationships with several different schools throughout the Austin and Del Valley school districts, supervises THAS interns and instructors, and teaches kids the value of being healthy in the 21st century. Hilary received her bachelor's degree in exercise science from the University of Texas at Austin, Hookham, with a specialization in disability studies. Her favorite physical activities include canoeing, hiking, and biking. Welcome, Hilary. All right, and with that, I'm going to hand things over to Joey, who is going to get us started here. Joey, take us away.
Thanks, Brooks. I'm really excited to talk about family fun events because over the years I've been fortunate to take part in and also participate and help out with a number of family fun events. And they always seem to be such a great time for everyone. I hope this webinar can be helpful to those of you who may be thinking about hosting such an event but have never done so before by giving you some concrete ideas and step-by-step planning tools. I also think this can be helpful to those of you who may have experience hosting these types of events, because it can offer new ideas for you to incorporate, as well as perhaps help you streamline your efforts. To get started, I wanted to give everyone an idea of kind of what we're talking about when we say family fun event. These events are important ways to connect with parents and the community. They help raise awareness about health and wellness and what your school or your site is doing to promote healthy habits. Family fun events, or FFEs, I might use that term as well, also encourage parents to support and engage in healthy behaviors, not just at school, but at home in the community too. So we really make it more of a well-rounded approach. This really can serve as educational opportunities, not only for the kids, but also for parents, the personnel in the school or the organization that you're in, and community members, all with the idea of learning about ways for them to be healthy. And these events really can take on a variety of forms, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. Now, no matter what form your FFE takes, there are a few general keys to keep in mind. First, it's important to remember that these events are not one-off type deals. They're not, don't think one and you're done kind of a thing. These should be repeatable, whether it be an annual event where you have one a year. Some folks like to do twice a year, one in the fall, and then again have a spring event. Or some folks make them actual regular events throughout the school year, such as Wellness Wednesdays, which might occur on the last Wednesday of each month, or a Fitness Friday as another example. Also, as I alluded to just a second ago, these family fun events can take on a lot of different formats. They can be standalone events, such as catch nights or health fairs, or they can be integrated into existing school events like a science fair, a literacy night, or the like, or even other formats, which we'll talk about as well. Another key to keep in mind is to cast a wide net with these events. Think inclusive and garnering widespread participation. These events are not just for the kids. The idea is definitely to reach the kids and to have involvement and participation by kids, but also by your school or site staff, and of course the parents and the community members as well. And then finally, just a plug to try to make your family fun event as interactive as possible. For instance, include opportunities for activity, invite vendors or organizations to have information booths and so forth. And of course, we all know that in order to entice folks to attend, having students perform or offering food is also super healthy. But because we're talking about healthy family fun events, just make sure that food is a little bit healthy that you're providing. Now, I mentioned that these FFEs can take many, many different forms. They can be large-scale events that might involve more than one school, like all the schools perhaps in a vertical team, or even an entire district or a community-wide event. Obviously, these types of events are more time-consuming and require more time and effort to coordinate and carry out, but they are terrific venues for reaching a large number of people and really engaging with the community on a much bigger level. For the most part, however, I will say that most family fun events take the form of a specific designated night in which schools or sites invite folks in to showcase their health and wellness efforts. And we've seen a myriad of different variations of catch night type events. We also see folks integrating their events into existing ones, such as a family literacy night or a science fair. This is a great way because you don't have to ask parents or staff, for that matter, to come up to the school on yet another night. It's a night that's already something that the school regularly hosts. Now, it's a much easier to get an idea of these family fun events by experiencing them, but since we're on a webinar today, we'll try to help you experience them at least through pictures for today. So I'm going to take you through a handful of slides that highlight a variety of events that folks have hosted to give you some ideas about the different types of events that you could possibly come up with. This first example is an example of a large-scale event involving an entire community. This one actually involved 3 school districts that came together one year to host the Catch a Star Family Wellness Fiesta down in San Antonio. Lots and lots of planning and effort went into carrying out this event that took place on a Saturday afternoon. They wrote for some grant support to fund the event so that they could provide all the students who participated with t-shirts. But it was an amazing collaboration of folks throughout a city and community coming together to highlight what they were doing to promote healthy habits for kids and families through their catch efforts. Another large event example is something like the Catch Family Fitness Day that Ysleta ISD hosts every year. This is a district-wide event in which all the schools contribute and participate. These fitness-oriented events are popular standalone events, and this one out in El Paso is a tremendous way for the community to come together to not only learn about catch, but to also participate in physical activity together as friends and family. Now then, not to worry if you are not up for taking on planning and hosting a big district-wide or large-scale event. Not to worry. Again, I would say that most of the family fun events we see happening are the standalone single campus type events. This particular one is a catch dance night. It's an example of a specific event that can occur every year. It's a great way to host a relatively simple event that focuses on kids and families doing some dancing, getting a lot of physical activity together, and generally having a really fun time. They also served healthy snacks during the event, as well as had a few booths or stations on the perimeter of the dance floor, so that if folks wanted to take a break from the dancing, there were a few other things to occupy and interest them. Health fair type events are also really popular examples of a regular yearly or every semester kind of gathering. We see a lot of schools and sites carry out this format with their event. Schools often have various activities and booths that participants can either visit at scheduled times or can visit at their leisure during the event. Here you can see a lot of different pictures showing examples of the offerings that this particular school had for their health fair, as well as in the bottom corner you can see a posting of everything that was going on and where to go to partake in those activities. Integrating your family fun night into an existing school event that parents and staff are already accustomed to taking part in is a wonderful way to engage with families on a regular basis. This picture is an example of a school's science fair that they integrated health into. This middle school had a focus on health-related science projects like nutrition and digestion, responses to physical activity, the cardiovascular system, and so on. Also here we have some Go Slow and Whoa pictures, and this is a neat way that one school integrated catch into their science night. They had kids and families learning about and studying nutrition labels and what makes foods go slow and whoa. And here they were checking out the Go Slow and Whoa posters to kind of check and make sure they got the right foods in the right place. So those are just a few examples of the different type of family fun events to give you an idea of what they can be. When it comes to hosting a successful family fun event, just know that these events can be as grand and as elaborate as you want them to be, or as simple and easy as you want to make them as well. To help get you started with family fun events and to guide you to hopefully having a successful one, we have put together a family fun event guide, and this is available as a free download on catch.org. If you're not familiar with catch.org, it is our site that offers electronic access to the Catch program materials as well as a ton of other resources. If you haven't done so already, I really encourage you to visit catch.org and definitely check out the family event guide, which you can find under the family resources icon on the home page. The guide includes a whole listing of helpful hints to hosting a successful event. These are great for folks who have hosted a family fun event before and might want some other ideas or to fine-tune the process. The hints are also a great way to get started for folks who are new to the process. In addition to the hints, we also have more in-depth suggestions or things to think about in the planning, recruitment, and implementation section. There are lots of tips on timelining the planning process, like setting the date, securing approval for the event, and other logistical planning things to think about. The recruitment segment has ideas for recruiting staffing for the event and recruiting community partners and or vendors as well. And there are also ideas to help you recruit families, students, and others to attend the event to ensure you have good attendance and participation. Finally, when your event is ready to take place, we also have some implementation ideas for you to keep in mind, like set up procedures and timing, when volunteers should arrive, having a cleanup crew, and things of that nature. To go along with all the hints and the step-by-step guidance, the Family Fun Event Guide also contains a ton of resources that you can use and just pick and choose from. Some examples include flyer templates that you can download and edit and use to promote your event. There are also sample materials like agendas that folks have used in the past, sign-in sheets if you want to keep tabs of how many families and kids you're reaching, and other event resources like handouts and such. If you're wondering what type of activities or things to have at your event, or you would like new ideas for booths and so forth, we've got you covered there too. There are a variety of game and booth ideas complete with instructions and materials that you would need to do those activities. And then finally, once your event is concluded, don't forget to post to your post-event wrap-up, including your thank yous. We also have a template for you to edit or cut and paste in order for you to send your volunteers or community partners thank you notes for their help and for their participation. Again, just lots of ideas and resources available at your fingertips to kind of help guide your efforts, hopefully make your life a little bit easier, and ultimately carry out a fun and a successful event. I also want to put a plug in for folks to be sure and publicize and communicate about what you're doing. So along with the Family Fun Event Guide on catch.org, you can also find a communications toolkit, which we've created. This has a step-by-step guide for a media pitch for you to use to perhaps garner a bit of press for your event. Even if you aren't looking necessarily for traditional media coverage for your event, you can still communicate about all the awesomeness that might be happening at your campus with health and wellness by using your social media platforms to share pictures, videos, thank yous, and so forth from your event. These are examples of schools that have posted or tweeted about their events down here at the bottom. You have a quick shout out to the Family Fitness Friday award winners at Sageland Micro Society. There's a picture of some yoga that was happening at a catch night, and then a thank you picture for I think the faculty and staff that helped carry out the Family Fun Night at another school. Again, I hope everyone now has a kind of a general idea of what these family fun events are, as well as what they can be, and all the variety of forms that they could possibly take. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand it over to Scott so he can take it from here and give you some insights into how these events work from the perspective of someone that actually plans, organizes, and conducts them. Scott?
All right, thanks, Joey. So I'm Scott Power. I teach in KDISD at Schmalz Elementary, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of a perspective on hosting a family fun fitness event on a school campus. My perspective is from like an elementary approach. So we're gonna look sort of at a big picture, sort of what it looks like from an overview, and then we're gonna walk a little bit step by step how the process entails from planning and scheduling to how to build up and even challenge yourself on future years. So we'll go ahead and hit that next slide. So here you're just going to see a little bit of an overview of some highlights of an event that we've hosted at Schmalz Elementary for many, many years. I've been there for 12 years, and we've hosted one every single year I've been there, and they've actually been going on prior to me actually arriving there. So here on the left of your screen, you're just going to see a few highlights of some stations, some go slow whoa technology challenges, some little things like balancing feather, jump rope, tossing and catching. In the middle there, you're going to see a little bit of sort of that next step, or what I'm going to call a 2-star task later on, sort of like the catch coordination kit. You have some characters sort of dressed up as Hardy Heart and Dynamite Diet and Flash Fitness and Assault Sleuth. And then on your right-hand side of the screen, you're going to see some of our art team that has put together some catch posters, putting out their healthy slogans and things of that nature for the kids to put up and decorate the hallway with, to let other people know what's going on in the school and how to be healthy, but also for them to share their knowledge and expertise in a different way using their art skills. So we'll go ahead and hit that next slide. So the first thing we're going to look at a little bit is scheduling. Picking a date and time that's good for your campus and with your administration. Some schools have certain blackout dates. Hey, we can't stay late on Wednesdays, or so on and so forth. So you want to pick a date that's good for your campus, good for your school. When you're doing that, you're going to want to make sure you consider your clientele, your school staff, vendors, people like that might be coming. I like to look at a time that's not too early right after school, but not too late at night either. You want to consider those people that need to get home after school and get up to campus, and also to not stay out too late so people don't have a chance to get home, get their kids to bed at night, and so on and so forth, whether they're a staff member, vendor, or even somebody coming to the event. Now, when we set our date, I like to set my date as early as possible. I set my date usually the spring prior to the next year, and I'm the one that, sort of like Joey mentioned earlier, that does a once a year type thing. But if you can't do it the spring prior, the early fall, that avoids conflicting with others. Sessions, other things that might be going on your campus, as it's already on your calendar. People can plan around it, plan appropriately, and you can let them know that, hey, I already have this date reserved, and we're going to have a catch family night here on campus. I also like to avoid testing season. For those of you people that are in tune with STAR and things like that, we want to make sure that we're respectful of that. So I want to avoid that time so that kids aren't out at night when they need to be ready for the tests that are coming up. And also, the setting that time early allows staff to plan to be there, makes them know of the date so they can make arrangements for their family, their kids, and put it on their calendar so that they know that, hey, on this date, I'm planning on being up at school. Then I also like to look at who's my target attendance group. Who am I looking to get there? If you're just starting out, this is sort of your first year, first go around at it, I would advise you sort of start small. Maybe you're going to target a certain grade level or a couple of certain grades. And then maybe you're going to be building up to an entire campus type situation. So you know what's best for your campus, but I would advise you start small, make it something that's attainable, making it something that's doable, making sure it's something that you can accomplish, not something that's overwhelming. So we'll go ahead and look at that next slide. So our first planning stages, sort of talking to those key people. Talking to the people that you want to be there so they can plan appropriately. Your catch team, people on your campus such as your school counselor, your school nurse, your food service and nutrition staff, your specials team, any other grade level or campus staff that you might want to invite to be a part of that night to help monitor stations or help carry out the event. Also, that next first planning stage lets you talk to the community, different vendors that you might want to invite to see if they can be a part of that night to set up a booth or station. Or even if they can't, so that they can send materials, and sometimes some of them are really good to sending prizes and things like that that are donated items, even if they can't be there. Some examples of people that I like to invite to mine are different people like the American Heart Association, American Diabetes Association, different doctors' offices in the area, grocery stores, hospitals, and dentists. Those are just a few examples of some different people or vendors that might be able to be part of your night, whether it's there in person setting up a booth, or maybe it's making a donation to send the message about their prospective business, or even just to donate and help with the event. To get the word out to them, I usually like to email and call them as soon as possible, a couple months out, at least at the very minimum, to tell them about the event. Tell them if they could send a representative, tell them, or if they can't, they can send the materials like we mentioned earlier. Also, in that first planning stage, I want to make sure that I've gotten with my school staff and I've reserved the appropriate facility space so that it's not going to be overlapped with somebody else that might be using the space. At my school, we have an after-school YMCA that uses some of the facility space, and I have to make arrangements for them to move to a different area for that day and time. Also, with that first planning stage, sort of like we mentioned earlier with the community, is I also like to solicit donations. And that's sort of that 2-star task. You'll see that notated on the screen. That's sort of that going to that next step that's above and beyond. We'll talk about that throughout this. And some people that you might talk to are grocery stores. Sometimes in my experiences, they've donated gift cards, coupons, water, healthy snacks. In return, you sort of promote their business. You might put up a sign at that night thanking them for their donations, thanking them for their help. You're going to give them a plug and a shout out on your social media and flyers that might go out to your family and staff. I've also talked to athletic stores. In the past, they've donated gift cards, coupons, athletic apparel, fitness equipment that we've either used at that night or we've given away as sort of a door prize. And in return, you're sort of promoting their business, giving them a plug and a shout out for helping you that night, and it gives them a little bit of good press that they're helping the school community as well. We'll go hit that next slide. Sort of that second planning stage. It's sort of when you're sitting there down and you're mapping it out, and when PE is sort of planning some activities and challenges for kids to play with their family. For me, I like to write instructions for each little game or activity and have them set out at each station, so when somebody gets there, whether it's a volunteer helping run that event or whether that's a student or family, they know how to do them. I like to make them fun and make them easy. I have a good mix up of fitness-based ones and fun ones. Minute to win it challenges, things like that are always a hit. Kids enjoy challenging their family members, their mom, their dad, their grandma, grandpa, brothers and sisters, or showing off maybe things that they've learned in class. Those are always fun, and they're easy, they're quick, and kids can come and go as they choose. They can do the ones that they enjoy, and they can go back to the ones that they enjoy and show them again if they choose to. After I've sort of planned those challenges, and I know who's coming, after I've talked to my community people, I use that info to sort of make a map and a plan for that night. In my event, you see an example sort of my map on the stage. I have a bunch of different stations, vendor areas, fitness areas, and my kids can come and go as they choose. So if they arrive a little bit late, they're not going to miss out on a certain station if it was the highlight of their night or something they're really looking forward to. So I have lots of different stations, and my kids can come and go to each event as they choose. If they want to hit an event over because it's a favorite and they enjoy it, they're welcome to do that. So they can do what's important to their family, what they enjoy, and what's fun. Also, sort of that next step is promoting your event. Joey alluded to a little bit of that earlier, and some of that toolkit that's available to you, some other examples and things like that sort of she highlighted as well, or notes and phone calls home. I have different things that I'll send home, or sort of those automated phone calls that'll go home to let people at my campus and my students know that an event's coming up, put it on your calendar, and lets them make plans to be able to be there. Social media plugs, emails are always a good thing to send out as well, whether it's from you in the PE department or your catch team, or whether it's teachers in the classroom sending those out as well. They also have my teachers send out reminders if they use Remind or Class Dojo. I use morning announcements. I use decoration and posters around campus, and I remind constantly in my physical education class. I also get my art teachers to make posters to hang up like you guys saw earlier in one of the earlier slides. And sort of that next step also is my music teachers will sometimes teach a song that the kids will perform, or a dance that I might perform that night as well, which is Joey mentioned a little bit earlier too, is sort of a draw to get parents there. If a kid's performing, a kid's showing a talent or something like that, it's a good plug to get the parents there to get them involved and see what's going on campus, and also lets the students show what they're doing and learning in class as well. And both those art things and music and dance things are sort of that 2-star task, I would call it, sort of that next step, next level, if that's what you're looking to get involved in. All right, we'll go ahead and hit that next slide. So different examples of PE stations, and mine have changed constantly over the years. I look at the highlights and I look what the kids enjoy. I look what's new out there. I try to mix it up and change it up to keeps it fun and interesting. So whether they're coming back years and years over and over again, or whether it's the first time there, they're gonna have a blast. So again, fun, quick, easy things I like to put out there that they can do in a short amount of time, that they can show off, they can challenge, they can move on, and they can come back if they choose to. A good example is hula hoops, sand bells, cup stacking, putt-putt golf, go slow food challenges, and fitness challenges are all good different things. So fitness challenges might be being some examples of fitnessgram testing that they might do, where they would show their family what they would be doing in that, and then challenge their family member to a fitness challenge in that. Also using glow so whoa food challenges, we saw a little example of that earlier. I've used technology before, where kids have had a smart board out and they've had a bunch of pictures of foods and they had to classify them as go slow or whoa, and then it checks them off at the end and it lets the kid know how successful they were. Putt-putt golf, always a hit. Everybody loves can go and play putt-putt golf, and be able to do that on campus with a family member is a fun activity as well. You'll see a picture there of cup stacking, a student there and his mom getting a little cup stacking on. Cup stacking is an easy, fun event that anybody can do. So when I plan my events, I want to think of my parents as well too. Some parents aren't able to do certain things because of maybe physical limitations, so I try to consider that as well and have a mix of things that parents can do, whether they're physically capable or physically not. So cup stacking, anybody can do, and that's a fun one that anybody can do regardless of age. Hula hoops, they might show off skills and tricks they've learned in class. They also might do a little hula battle with their family member. And sand bells are a fun one too if you haven't used sand bells before. It's a weighted instrument filled with sand, and kids can do different fitness activities with them without getting hurt or injured, and they're a lot of fun. Go and look at that next slide. Further examples, jumping rope, always a fun one. Anybody who went to PE growing up learned how to jump rope, hopefully. And so getting out there, that helps them reminisce of their time back in PE when they were growing up. So getting them to be able to jump rope with their family members is always a fun activity. Feather balancing, you saw a little picture of that one back at the very, very beginning. Again, one of those activities that you can do regardless of age or fitness ability level, a fun challenge for them to do against their parents. Basketball, passing and throwing activities, always fun as well. Exercise balls, throwing at different targets like you see there in the picture. And then I also have different things where they get to use their health knowledge. And I have a rubber set of Mr. Bones where they get to have a skeleton example and put that together with their family member. So just a few examples, lots and lots and lots of choices out there for you to choose from. And again, these are some examples that I've used over the years. And I keep them fresh, I change them out. It keeps them fun and exciting for those kids that come over and over again. And it keeps it fun and exciting for me as well to be able to teach and see the kids enjoy them as well. So go ahead and hit that next slide. So I talked about getting the community involved earlier, and school food service is definitely a huge part of that. Getting them involved lets them showcase what they're doing on school to help support our whole school, whole child approach. They give information about maybe what they're serving in the cafeteria. They're showing the examples of the My Plate and how they're trying to hit all the different components of the My Plate to give a kid a healthy breakfast and healthy lunch when they're there every day. They also have an example of maybe some Go foods that they're serving on the daily lunch line or daily breakfast line for the families to try. You'll see a picture of there, some different Go foods, some fruits and vegetables out there that they're able to come by and get a healthy snack. Joey mentioned it earlier, food at a family fun event is definitely something that attracts people out there along with their children performing. So getting a little snack when they're out there is definitely a highlight of the night. It's not no meal necessarily, but it shows the families what types of foods are being served at school, and it lets them know what is a Go food. So when they go back home, that conversation can continue about what Go foods are, and maybe that carries on to their next grocery shopping trip so that they're able to maybe put a few more Go foods in their cart. All right, next slide. Other examples of health stations might be our school counselor doing an activity or information on mental health, because being physically fit is a good health thing, but mental health is just as important as well. And so our counselor usually has a mental health station where she can give information out to people that need information on getting healthy in their mental. So nurse, you see an example of a station right there that my nurse has set up. She usually has information on what you can do to be healthy from her perspective. And this is a little game she played out, how much sugar is in your drink. And the kids, she had the packets away, and the kids and their families had to put the drinks in order from least sugar to most sugar. And then she took the sugar packets out and revealed the right answers. So it was really eye-opening experience for our families to see how much sugar was actually in the drinks that they were maybe consuming on a daily basis that they might not even know. Another example of a health station would be FitnessGram info. If you're targeting those upper grades, in the state of Texas anyway, they have to take FitnessGram as a testing requirement. So maybe there's information about how that happens at your campus, what is a healthy fitness zone that they're looking to get into, and how that sort of partakes on your campus and what they can do to prepare for that test. All right, next slide. A few other more community stations. Like I said earlier, the American Heart Association, diabetes, grocery, dentists, hospitals are all great people to invite out. It lets them promote their business. It lets them give back to the community. Sometimes they're going to give samples out. If there's a grocery store, last year they came out with good fresh fruits and vegetables on my campus, and they gave a few samples out. They might give away prizes. I've had the Diabetes and Heart Association have raffles and door prizes where if they go by and visit them, they drop their name in a hat, and in an event, we announce kids that visited that station to get their ticket pulled out, and they might win a door prize like a t-shirt or a stuffed animal or something like that. I've also had doctors' offices out. Right there, you see a nurse giving some blood pressure checks free of charge to both the kids and their families, along with maybe blood pressure information for them to take home to let them know where they are as far as their health as it relates to their blood pressure. The community stations also allow those community places to tell how they help the community and how they give back. Sometimes those aren't things that people know that happen. And a lot of good businesses out there want to have their name out there in the community as somebody that helps the community, somebody who gives back, especially to the youth and the schools, to promote healthy living and healthy activity for a lifetime. All right, go ahead and hit that next slide. Wrapping it up, sort of the things we want to look for at the end of the event, and Joey hit on some of these earlier. You always want to make sure you follow up your event by sending an email or thank you letter to the people who helped. She had that template that's out there earlier that's a tremendous resource that you can use to make sure you get out a thank you to those people that have helped. That way, hopefully, they'll come back and give you a hand next year. You also want to highlight those good things. Maybe it's a newsletter home, maybe it's posts on social media. So you're highlighting those highlights of those good things that happened on your campus so that people see the good things that you're doing at your school and promotes your program and promotes the catch activities that are going on at your school. Other thank yous that might go out would be to the people on your campus that helped, your catch team, your school staff, administration. So I like to get my administration involved in thanking the people on my campus that helped out by giving them things that they might enjoy. Maybe that's jeans passes, maybe that's leave early passes, maybe that's a healthy snack in their box, maybe that's a bottle of water. So getting that administration to send a little thank you to those staff members that helps out goes a long way. And it lets the administration know, hey, these are the people that gave up their time, they volunteered to be here, and it lets them know who's actively involved in your catch program on your school. With those thank yous, also want to make sure you thank your administration for allowing you to host an event. A lot of administrations are very supportive if you get out there and you ask them, and making sure your admin knows that you appreciate them as well. Lets that be a sort of a two-way street. And then with sort of that wrapping it up thing, I also always like to reflect for next year. What went well? What do you want to change? Write it down. We always look back and say, what went well, what didn't go so well? And so at the end of your event, have a little log, write things down that you liked, write things down that maybe you didn't like as much. So that way next year when you come back and you're hosting that family fun event, that catch night again, you can look at it and say, hey, these are the things we liked. These are the things the kids liked. These are the things the community liked. Let's bring these back, or maybe we look at what we need to switch out. And if we hit that next slide and sort of that next step, I called a little 2-star task earlier. If you're familiar with the catch coordination kit, they have 1-star, 2-star, 3-star tasks. So sort of I linked that a little bit to our catch family nights here. Again, starting small, If you're just getting off the ground, it's definitely the way to go, not making it something that's overwhelming for you, making it doable, making it something that's enjoyable, making it something that's sustainable. So some of those 2-star tasks earlier you saw maybe with your art team, maybe with your music team, would be that next step. Giving away door prizes, highlighting those students that may have completed 10 or 12 stations and putting their name in a raffle and giving away door prizes at the end of the night. Maybe you're giving away prizes for people that posted on social media. This past year, I had parents going around taking pictures at catch night, and they were using a certain hashtag, and they were posting them on social media promoting for me. So not only was I promoting my program, they were promoting the great things we were doing as well. And so I give away prizes at the end of the night to the parents that had some of the best social media posts. So they like that, and that's where I use some of those grocery store donations to give them maybe $10 or $20 that I had gotten donated for them to go and buy Go Foods for their family. Sort of those other next steps might be catch character skits. Right there to the right, you see some of the teachers on my campus that did a catch skit at the end of our event. And we just used some homemade costumes that we made up on campus. And the kids got to see some of their teachers acting out a catch skit, and they really like that because they see their teachers in the classroom being serious, and this got them to see their teachers in a little bit different light, having fun, having a good time, and promoting catch as well. Maybe using those catch characters also to have catch character picture stations. If you've ever been to Disney, everybody at Disney loves and going and taking pictures with Mickey and Minnie and Goofy. Well, kids at our school, they love taking pictures with Hardy Heart and Dynamite Diet and Flash Fitness and Sally Sleuth. So having catch character picture stations, another next step that you might implement in one of your events as well. All right, and that's all I have, and I'm going to turn it over to Hilary. I thank you, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the presentation.
Great, thank you, Scott. So again, I'm Hilary Kotrla, and I am the Teach Healthier After School Coordinator with It's Time Texas. So I'm going to give you a bit of a perspective from a vendor coming in to really support these family fun events. And first, I just want to touch on a little bit on what It's Time Texas does and what we do. And with that, we can go to the next slide. So It's Time Texas, we are a nonprofit. We are based here in Austin, but we work across sectors to support healthier choices where people live, learn, work, worship, and shop. So we do a lot of work still all throughout Texas, and we partner with a lot of diverse organizations, mobilize technology, and use social marketing to really expand our message and expand our reach. And we can go to the next slide. So we offer a lot of free health tools for all Texans. We offer a Choose Healthier app, a Teach Healthier app, which we'll go over a little bit at the end of this. And we also offer Living Healthier Coach Hotline, among several other health tools, as well as initiatives and events to catalyze really community health, such as a competitive community challenge and also an annual conference that we provide. And then we can go to the next slide. So I work for our Teach Healthier After School department, and we work again with our Stronger Austin program, which is another department here at It's Time Texas. And Stronger Austin is a community-driven health initiative that's committed to improving access to health and wellness services, with the idea being that it is really hard for the communities here to find resources to do what they need to do to be healthy. So we offer group fitness classes with that, which include anything from like yoga to Zumba classes. There's activity groups with that, including walking groups, nutrition education classes, and then within Stronger Austin as well, we have our Teach Healthier After School programming. And with the Teach Healthier After School programming, with the next slide, we're going to talk about that physical activity with families and after school. And so with after school, it becomes a little different, but we can still incorporate activities and health with families and after school with a lot of different things. So we can target specific after school events if there's a showcase, if there's a movie night, if there's any kind of school events going on, so those catch nights that we've talked about, catch days, carnival, as well as just general family fun nights. So really noticing too that it can be found anywhere with physical activity and health. Taking a look at movie nights is not necessarily always what you look towards, that you can do something healthy. But we've gone in where schools have done movie nights for their after school kids and parents and had taken a bit of an intermission and done a little bit of an energizer or activity break. And we can go ahead to the next slide. Then, as I mentioned, we work a lot with schools, with sites to go in and help them provide this family engagement and family sites. So from our end, what our process kind of looks like is first the site connects with us, and so then we'll be able to gather that event information. So we figure out what the site is looking to do, if they're looking for that catch night, a larger event, smaller event, to figure out the scale, so that then on our end with the site, we can determine the best activity fit that would work for that particular type of event, whether it's an obstacle course, whether it's a table activity, like the ones that Scott was referring to earlier that are really fun and quick, whether it's some kind of energizer, or whether if it's some kind of game that we want to utilize at that type of event. For instance, we've done parent-student soccer scrimmages before that you might be able to host as well. And we can go to the next slide. And then more upon working with the site staff as a part of our process. So we do also work with them to determine the schedule. It's possible the site might have already decided the schedule, so then we'll figure out on our end what staff we have available to go out there and run whatever activity we are looking to run. And then we always talk about together those incentives for that participation. And so I know, like Scott had talked about what they have done as well. And so like we also try to do that on our end, being that there are some things we can provide, smaller things, but we can provide these SNAP-Ed recipe books to families who've attended, or we can have staff members or interns sometimes reach out and collect those like gift cards. And we've also been able to reach out to local organizations, and they've donated actually like passes to go canoeing, paddleboarding, or even to Dart 'em Up Place, which is a lot of Nerf gun, which is really a big draw-in for the kids. And then both like Joey and Scott have talked about, there's that marketing for the event. So we talk with the site staff about what we need to do for marketing. And so the site staff will often create the flyers to send home to their kids, to take to their parents, but then we'll be able to help through our social media channels to post it on there, and just through word of mouth, really letting the after school kids that we work with and just the community know that that particular event is coming up. And we can go ahead and go to the next slide. And so these are a couple of family activities that we've provided, an obstacle course and Dragon Tales. We've got several different templates that we've used for obstacle courses over the years. And these are the types of things that we try to decide what's going to be the better fit, depending, like if we're doing a showcase or another type of activity. And we might find that an obstacle course is a really good fit when we have a really large open space and open area for the kids and the parents to run and do it, or Dragon Tales being a type of more game, active paced, and you still need a large room for that as well. But then that's more for like if you have a lot of different stations and you've got lots and lots of people moving from station to station, so that then with Dragon Tales, if you're able to pull in like maybe 8 people and run a game for 2 minutes, and then there's another group of people that wants to go. Or of course, there's always going to be the groups that really like the activities and kind of are sticking around there, and they want to just keep doing it, which is always great as well. And then we can go ahead to the next slide. And then another thing that we provide, so I know Joey mentioned kind of those standalone activities. So we've also done just general family nights where we have a full lesson that we can provide to the families. And so we can do just a standalone type class, or we've also done a series of these classes as well. And so we've got this full curriculum. It can be up to 15 weeks, and it includes weekly challenges that we provide as well. So anytime the parents come in for the class, at the end of the class, we have a weekly challenge for them to take home with their family. And it includes trying things out. You know, maybe it's just going out to walk their dog at one point that week. Maybe it's cooking a homemade meal. We always provide recipes on that challenge sheet as well. And if you want a copy of that family fun curriculum, or of course any of the other ITT resources I've mentioned, please feel free to email me. My email is at the bottom of this slide. It's hilary@itstinetexas.org. And so to talk more about what that family curriculum looks like, we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. And so this is the general layout. These typically last about an hour with our families, and we'll always start with a bit of an icebreaker to get everybody starting to get to know each other a little bit, since maybe they don't know each other, maybe it's in a different setting that they're not used to. So we'll do that, and then we'll go into a warm-up, and we always like to hear from the families on what they would like to do, if there's any favorite warm-up activities they would like to do. And then we'll do an active game always, and then we'll always talk about nutrition at some point during our lesson, as well as do a couple of games. And then we'll do a cool down activity here, always doing some walking and stretching. But again, just like with the warm up, always asking the families if there's, a favorite stretch they have or something they want everybody to try in the class. And so we'll go ahead into the next slide. And this is an example of one of the family activities we've done as a part of our family fun curriculum. The activity is Bowling for Goals, and it's a family fun night used in those family fun nights like I mentioned. And so the idea is that you have two teams, and let's say there's 10, so there's going to be 5 people on one side and 5 people on the other. So you really want to think about it like soccer, but instead of kicking the ball over to the other side, you're actually getting to roll the ball like it's a bowling ball, and you can try and hit the back team's wall. And so it just keeps going. You can put as many balls out as you want, as little as you want, to make it challenging, more difficult for whatever the families that you're working with want, or however you want to set it up for them as well. And so we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. And so the challenges that we've experienced with, working on these family nights, as well as with just putting them on with other schools, we've definitely seen challenges with having the number of participants, that's not always high. Typically the challenge is more that it's too low of participants rather than too high of participants. And then we'll see, particularly if we're doing a series, it might be that we're having a challenge with continued parent engagement. And then there are always sometimes the language barriers as well. So for instance, I only speak English, but I've definitely gone out to a family night to lead the class before, and the family, or the dad speaks Spanish, and so I'm figuring out how I can get across that language barrier. So the next slide, we'll talk about more solutions on those kind of challenges. So with scheduling, as I mentioned, that could be a reason why that number of participants is dropping down. So we want to see if there's an ideal day. Usually the site staff will work with their parents to see if there's an ideal day. And if we're scheduling around after school, what a lot of the people I've worked with have done before is scheduling the family night around the after school pickup time, so that they're able to grab the parents as they come in and let them know we got this cool activity going on, and then they're able to go ahead and send them over there for just a little bit of time before they go home. And then as far as continued engagement with the parents, really having that conversation with the parents and the families about what they're wanting to see, if there's something we can provide that would draw their attention a little bit more. And then of course, always trying to incentivize the parents to get other parents involved. So something we've done before with parent engagement is we've asked them to invite somebody else to the class. And if they bring another person the next week, then we'll provide that free recipe book as well. And then we're always definitely on our toes with willing to adapt and figuring out how we can adapt. So if, for instance, that Bowling for Goals game, if we've got too few students, we figure out what kind of things we can do to modify the game. So we might make that a little bit more challenging, where we only provide one bowling ball essentially, or one foam ball for it, and then targeting a specific area of the wall, or maybe they're actually need to stay on one side and they are targeting a specific bin or something to throw it in. and then dealing with the language barriers as well and adapting. So I've definitely utilized students as far as helping me to translate as well. And then a lot of just demonstrating anything that I'm explaining and showing it through and walking it through. And that goes with the obstacle courses or any other games with working with students as well. Definitely being prepared to walk through it and letting them see you do it and kind of model your behavior as well. And then we can go ahead on to the next slide. So just to kind of wrap up here, so Stronger Austin and FAS, Teach Healthier After School, we are in Austin and Del Valle, and so we've got free fitness classes near you with Stronger Austin, and then if you're also interested in having those family engagement opportunities at your site, please feel free to contact me at hilary@itstimetexas.org. And then these few other resources that I mentioned at the beginning. So what a lot of you all might be interested, especially as educators, is our Teach Healthier mobile app. It is free. You can get it on Google Play. You can also get it on the Apple Store. And it has a lot of curriculum on it, anywhere ranging from small little energizers, 5-minute activities, all the way up to full 45-minute or so physical education activities as well. And then we've got Choose Healthier. It's another free mobile app. And Choose Healthier is actually in Austin, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Beaumont, and Smithville. And it is something that you can, if you're in that area, you'll be able to log on and see what other kind of fitness classes are in the area, if there's any farmers markets in the area, any kind of health-related activities, or even any kind of parks. And that's something that you can send to your parents as well and let them know, like, if they're looking for something to do with their family over the weekend. And then lastly, we've got our Living Healthier Coach Hotline that is based here in Austin, but anybody is able to call into the hotline if they are working on building up a specific health goal. And so maybe, maybe a family is trying to work on something and the parent is able to call into the hotline and work directly with one of our coaches. And then we'll go to our next slide. And so I'd love it for y'all to join It's Time Texas. There's multiple ways to get involved with our organization. You can become an ambassador here at this website. And you can also sign up for email updates here as well if you are interested in getting more information. And then please do connect with us on social media. But I hope you all got great things out of this. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Brooks, but thanks for being here today.
All right, thanks so much, Hilary, and thanks Scott and Joey also for wonderful presentations. We really hope that everyone kind of got a good idea of, no matter what your role of kind of reaching out and engaging families and parents, if it's as a teacher or as Hilary was, as a third party that's coming in and helping schools with family engagement and events and kind of getting health messages home. We kind of hope this gave you some good perspective and good ideas, as well as resources and all sorts of things that can kind of get you going. So we will invite your questions to type those into the questions box on your screen. I know we're getting close to our end time, and if we don't get to any certain questions, we will try to follow up with you directly for sure. But I think we had one that was touched on with the language barriers. And having Spanish resources, Joey?
Yes, so virtually all the family and student materials that we have available at Catch are available in English and Spanish. I will say some of the specific handouts in the Family Fun Event Guide have been shared with us by other campuses or other organizations that have used those. And so we may not have 100% in Spanish, but I will go ahead and say that it wouldn't take much for us to double check that for you. And if anything that we have referenced in the Family Fun Event Guide isn't in Spanish, that we could get it in Spanish relatively quickly.
Great. I know there was a question for Scott, just someone trying to get a little perspective on what your campus is like and just how large or what's the student population at Schmalz. So I guess size, demographic breakdown, what's your campus like? And Scott, you might be muted.
Yep, I'm good now.
There we go.
So I'm at a Title I campus, so very high transient student population, low socioeconomic, a lot of students on free and reduced lunch. So we are a school that with some needs and stuff like that as far as our students go. We have about 1,200 kids on our campus. We're K through 5. I hope that answers the questions they were looking at.
Yeah, I think that gives a little more kind of color and perspective to where you're coming from with your planning and the challenges your campus faces.
I think we also had a couple of questions. Folks were just double checking where you can find the Family Fun event guide. Again, you can download that as for free on catch.org. So if you just go to www.catch.org, and on that homepage under the elementary school section, you should find a whole list of tiles. And one of those tile names will be Family Resources. Click on that and you should be able to, it should take you to the Family Fun event guide where you can download it. Hilary, we have a question for you. Is there an It's Time Texas contact who works with schools in Dallas?
At this point, no, there is not a contact for Dallas, but I'd be happy to talk with who is interested to at least talk to them about setting up, maybe like getting to know more about the Teach Healthier app or to see what they're looking for.
Yeah, that's great. And your resources are, there's several that are kind of Texas-wide too, or available to them as well. So
and we can certainly work to connect the person who asked that question with you, Hilary.
Sounds great.
Great. And I think, that answers a lot of kudos and thank you to our panelists today are coming in as questions as well, and we appreciate those comments. If you do have any other follow-up questions, please feel free to contact us, and we will route your question to the right person or try to answer it. You've got all of our contact info on your screen there. As I mentioned, this will be recorded and put on the catchinfo.org website. You will also get a nice convenient link in an email tomorrow that'll take you right to that recording in PDF. So with that, I want to thank our panelists one last time and all of our attendees for joining us. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.